Stupid mistakes. 97% of older adults make that destroy their lives. Avoid these 5 mistakes. Right now, 97 out of every 100 people over 60 are making devastating mistakes that are quietly destroying their future, and they don't even realize it. These aren't small slip-ups. We're talking about decisions that lead to crippling loneliness, watching your savings vanish, watching your health collapse faster than it should, and waking up one day filled with regrets you can never undo. The worst part? These mistakes feel completely normal in the moment. You think you're doing the right thing, or maybe just taking the easy path, but years later you're left asking, how did I let this happen to my life? If you're over 60, or someone you love is, the next few minutes could be the difference between thriving in your later years and struggling with preventable pain. What I'm about to reveal will shock you, especially mistake number 5. Most doctors won't even tell you about it, but it's silently robbing millions of seniors of their independence and joy. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to protect yourself. Here's exactly what you're going to learn today. I'm going to walk you through 5 critical mistakes that are sabotaging the lives of older adults everywhere. Mistakes that seem harmless but carry devastating consequences. First, I'll reveal the financial trap that's draining bank accounts without people even noticing until it's too late. Second, we'll expose the social behavior that's creating an epidemic of isolation and loneliness among seniors, cutting years off their lifespan. Third, I'll show you the health habit that doctors say is more dangerous than smoking, yet millions of people over 60 do it every single day without thinking twice. Fourth, we'll uncover the family dynamic mistake that's destroying relationships with adult children and grandchildren, leaving people abandoned when they need support most. And finally, mistake number 5. This one will genuinely surprise you because it's something society actually encourages, something that feels responsible and mature, but it's secretly stealing your purpose, your vitality, and your will to live. Each of these mistakes comes with real stories, warning signs you can check for right now, and most importantly, simple solutions you can implement immediately. By the time we're done, you'll have a complete roadmap to avoid the regrets that plague so many older adults. The question is, are you already making one of these mistakes? Let's find out together, starting with the first one that's costing people their financial security. Mistake number 1. Lending money to family without boundaries. Mistake number 1 is giving money to adult children or family members without clear boundaries or repayment plans. This might sound harsh, but hear me out, because this single mistake has destroyed more retirement savings than almost anything else. Your 35-year-old son calls stressed about losing his job. He needs $5,000 to cover rent until he gets back on his feet. Your daughter's going through a divorce and asks for help with legal fees. Your grandson wants to start a business, and you're the only one who believes in him. Every single request tugs at your heartstrings. You worked hard your whole life, and now you finally have the chance to help the people you love most. So you say yes, and then you say yes again and again. Here's why this is so common. As parents, we're hardwired to protect and provide for our children, and that instinct doesn't vanish when they turn 18 or 40. You remember your own struggles, and you don't want your kids to suffer the same way. Plus, there's often guilt involved. Maybe you worked long hours when they were young. Maybe you went through a divorce. Maybe you just want to prove you're still valuable and needed. Let me tell you about a woman named Sylvia, a 68-year-old retired teacher. Over 7 years, she gave her 2 adult children over $80,000 for various emergencies. Car repairs, medical bills, down payments, business investments. She never said no because she convinced herself it was temporary. The result? Sylvia had to sell her home and move into a cramped apartment. She now works part-time at a grocery store to make ends meet. Her children? They rarely visit, and neither has paid back a single dollar. The money created resentment on both sides. Her children feel entitled and annoyed when she asks about repayment, while Sylvia feels used and bitter. Here are 3 warning signs you're making this mistake. First, you're dipping into retirement savings or emergency funds to help family members. Second, you feel anxious or resentful after giving money, but you do it anyway because you fear damaging the relationship. Third, the same people keep asking for help, and there's never any talk of paying you back. So what's the solution? First, establish a family loan policy before anyone asks. Decide on a maximum amount you're willing to give as a gift, not a loan, and stick to it. If it's truly a loan, put it in writing with a repayment schedule. Second, learn to say, "I love you, but I can't compromise my financial security. Let's explore other options together." Practice this phrase until it feels natural. Third, redirect your helping instinct. Instead of giving money, offer your time, advice, or connections that could help them solve their own problems. Mistake number 2, refusing to learn new technology. Mistake number 2 is deliberately avoiding technology and wearing that avoidance like a badge of honor. You've probably heard someone say, "I'm too old to learn that computer stuff," or "I don't need a smartphone, I've lived just fine without one." This sounds innocent, maybe even admirable in its simplicity, but here's the hidden danger. Every year you resist technology, you're building an invisible wall between yourself and the modern world. The real threat isn't just about missing out on convenience. It's about becoming increasingly dependent on others for basic tasks, losing your autonomy, and eventually becoming isolated from a society that's moved online. Your grandchildren are sharing their lives on platforms you can't access. Your friends are coordinating gatherings through group chats you're not part of. Banking, shopping, healthcare appointments, prescription refills. Everything is shifting digital. And if you can't navigate these systems, you become vulnerable to scams, you miss important information, and you lose your independence. Let me share the transformation story of a man named Carl, a 72-year-old former mechanic who spent 5 years proudly declaring he'd never touch a computer. His wife handled everything online. Then she passed away suddenly, and Carl found himself completely helpless. He couldn't access their bank accounts, didn't know how to pay bills online, couldn't video call his daughter who lived across the country, and felt utterly alone. His adult children had to manage everything for him, which made him feel like a burden. But here's where it gets inspiring. Carl's neighbour, another senior named Diane, offered to teach him basics 1 hour per week. Within 3 months, Carl learned to send emails, make video calls, and manage his finances online. Within 6 months, he joined an online community for classic car enthusiasts and made friends worldwide. He now helps other seniors at the local library learn technology. Carl says the skills didn't just give him independence, they gave him back his dignity and opened up a world he thought was closed to him forever. Here are the warning signs you're making this mistake. You feel anxious or frustrated when someone mentions using a computer or smartphone. You rely entirely on others to handle online tasks for you. You've missed important family moments because they were shared digitally and no one printed photos for you. You feel left out of conversations because everyone's referencing things they saw online. Here's your practical action plan. Step 1. Start with just one device and one task. Choose either a smartphone or tablet. Tablets are often easier for beginners with larger screens. Your first goal is simply to master video calling with one family member. That's it. Step 2. Find a patient teacher. This could be a grandchild, a friend, or a local senior centre that offers free technology classes. Avoid teachers who get impatient or talk down to you. Step 3. Practice for just 15 minutes daily. Consistency beats marathon sessions. Write down steps if you need to. There's no shame in keeping notes. Step 4. Give yourself permission to make mistakes. You will click wrong buttons, you will get confused, and that's completely normal. Mistake number 3. Living in the past and rejecting new experiences. Mistake number 3 is refusing to create new memories because you're convinced your best days are behind you. This is the mistake that kills joy before your body ever gives out. It sounds like, "I'm too old for that. That's for young people," or "I've already done everything I wanted to do." Every time you say these words, you're choosing to stop living and just start existing. This mistake destroys happiness in the most heartbreaking way. Your world shrinks smaller and smaller. You stop trying new restaurants because you've got your regular spot. You decline invitations to events because you wouldn't know anyone. You refuse to travel because it seems too complicated now. You watch the same TV shows, eat the same meals, talk about the same old stories from decades ago. Meanwhile, life is rushing past you, and the gap between you and everyone else widens until you're living in a mental museum of your own history. Meet a woman named Constance, age 71, who spent 8 years after her husband's death sitting in her house, looking at photo albums and telling anyone who'd listen about the good old days. Her daughter begged her to join a book club, try a painting class, even just walk in the park. Constance refused everything with the same response. "That's not who I am anymore." Her relationship suffered because every conversation became a monologue about the past. Her daughter's visits became shorter and less frequent because she couldn't bear the sadness anymore. Then Constance's doctor delivered shocking news. Her cognitive decline was accelerating specifically because she'd stopped challenging her brain with new experiences. That wake-up call changed everything. Constance forced herself to say yes to one new thing per month. She joined a pottery class, despite having zero artistic ability. She tried Vietnamese food for the first time. She attended a concert in a genre she'd never listened to. Within a year, Constance was leading a travel group for seniors, planning trips to places she'd never imagined visiting. She told me, "I thought I was honouring my past by living in it. Instead, I was disrespecting my present and stealing my own future." Ask yourself these honest questions. Do you automatically say no to invitations without considering them? When's the last time you tried something for the very first time? Do most of your conversations revolve around events that happened over a decade ago? Do you feel envious when you see other seniors enjoying activities, then tell yourself it's too late for you? Here's how to break free. Step 1. Make a list of 20 things you've never done, big or small. These could be eating octopus, learning to paint, visiting a museum, taking a dance lesson, attending a different place of worship, trying meditation, or learning a card game. Step 2. Commit to trying one new experience every 2 weeks. Put it on your calendar like a doctor's appointment. It's that important. Step 3. Document these experiences somehow. Take photos, write about them, or tell someone about them. This creates new memories that prove you're still growing. Step 4. When you catch yourself saying, "I'm too old," immediately replace it with, "I've never tried that before," which makes it exciting. Language shapes mindset. Step 5. Find at least one person who encourages your growth and spend more time with them while limiting time with people who reinforce your limitations. Mistake number 4. Becoming a constant complainer and critic. Mistake number 4 is the silent killer of relationships. Becoming a chronic complainer who criticizes everything and everyone. This happens so gradually you don't even notice it's happening. You start commenting on how the restaurant service isn't what it used to be. You mention how your neighbor's lawn looks terrible. You point out everything your adult children are doing wrong with their kids. You complain about the weather, the government, today's music, how rude young people are, how expensive everything is, and how nothing is as good as it was in your day. Here's the thing. Every single complaint might be valid. The problem isn't that you're wrong. The problem is that constant negativity makes people avoid you. Your family starts dreading phone calls because they know it'll be 20 minutes of complaints. Friends stop inviting you to gatherings because you drain the energy from every room. Your grandchildren visit less because grandma or grandpa always criticizes their clothes, their choices, their generation. Research from the University of California found that chronic complainers experience significantly higher rates of depression, anxiety, and cognitive decline. But here's the devastating part. A study published in the Journal of Social and Personal Relationships showed that people who engage in excessive complaining lose an average of 3 close friendships per decade after age 60. Your negativity literally pushes away the very people you need most. Let me tell you about a man named Stanley, 69, who couldn't understand why his 3 sons rarely called anymore. He'd raised them well, sacrificed for them, and now they were too busy for him. What Stanley couldn't see was that every conversation turned into criticism. His oldest son's career choice was impractical. His middle son was too soft on his kids. His youngest son's wife wasn't good enough for the family. During the rare visits, Stanley complained about traffic, prices, politics, and how disrespectful everyone had become. His sons didn't hate him. They were emotionally exhausted by him. The turning point came when Stanley's neighbor confronted him directly. "Stan, you're a good man, but spending time with you feels like work. You make everything heavy." That honest feedback shattered Stanley's denial. He realized he'd become the bitter old man he'd promised himself he'd never be. The consequences were real. Damaged relationships, loneliness, and a reputation as the family grump that would take years to rebuild. Why is this so damaging? Because negativity creates a self-fulfilling prophecy. You complain that no one visits, which makes you more bitter, which makes you complain more, which drives people further away. It's a downward spiral that ends in isolation. Here's your 3-step action plan starting today. Step 1. Implement the 3 positive rule. Before you voice any complaint or criticism, you must first say 3 genuinely positive observations. This forces your brain to look for good things first. If you can't find 3 positive things, you've lost permission to complain. Step 2. Designate 1 complaint-free interaction per day. Choose 1 conversation, whether with the cashier, family member or friend, where you absolutely will not complain about anything regardless of what comes up. Notice how this changes the interaction. Step 3. Ask someone you trust to give you a gentle signal when you're slipping into complaint mode. This could be a family member who says a code word or simply touches your arm. Accept this feedback without defensiveness. The truth is, people don't remember what you said. They remember how you made them feel. And if you make them feel heavy, criticized and drained, they'll protect themselves by creating distance. Mistake number 5, completely retiring and eliminating all work. The most shocking. Here it is, mistake number 5, and this will challenge everything you've been told. Completely retiring and eliminating all productive work from your life. Yes, you heard that right. The traditional retirement dream of doing absolutely nothing is actually one of the most dangerous mistakes you can make. Society sells you this fantasy. Work for 40 years, then stop everything and relax on a beach or golf course for the rest of your life. We're told that retirement means freedom from all responsibility, that you've earned the right to do nothing. But here's the shocking truth that gerontologists and longevity researchers have discovered: humans need purpose, structure, and contribution to survive. When you abruptly stop all productive activity, your brain interprets this as "my usefulness is over," and your body responds accordingly. A groundbreaking study from Harvard Medical School tracked over 83,000 people and found that those who completely retired had a 40% higher risk of heart attack and stroke compared to those who continued some form of work. Research published in the Journal of Epidemiology showed that full retirement accelerates cognitive decline by up to 50% within just 5 years. The British Medical Journal found that complete retirement is associated with a 51% increased risk of depression and 60% increased risk of physical illness. This isn't about money, it's about meaning. Let me share the powerful story of a man named Leonard, a 66-year-old engineer who spent his entire career designing water systems for municipalities. He counted down to retirement for years, imagining endless days of leisure. When that day finally came, Leonard celebrated for exactly 3 weeks. Then the emptiness hit. He'd wake up with nowhere to go, no problems to solve, no one depending on him. His wife was still working part-time and had her own routines. Leonard tried hobbies, woodworking, fishing, travel, but nothing filled the void. Within 18 months, Leonard gained 35 pounds, developed high blood pressure, and told his doctor he felt like he was waiting to die. His mind felt foggy, his days blurred together, and he couldn't shake the feeling that he'd become irrelevant. Everything changed when a former colleague called asking Leonard to consult on a challenging project, just 10 hours a week. Leonard hesitated, thinking, isn't retirement supposed to mean no work? But he said yes, and those 10 hours became a lifeline. He had a reason to shower, dress, and engage his brain. He felt needed again. This led Leonard to start a small consulting practice, working 15 hours per week, mentoring young engineers, and volunteering with an organization bringing clean water to developing countries. 2 years later, Leonard had lost the weight, his blood pressure normalized, and he described himself as more alive than I've felt in years. Here's why this is so destructive. Your identity, self-worth, and mental sharpness are tied to contribution. When you eliminate all work, you lose structure, social connections, intellectual stimulation, and most critically, your sense of purpose. Your brain literally starts shutting down systems it thinks you no longer need. The comprehensive solution isn't to avoid retirement, it's to redefine it. Here's how. First, transition gradually instead of stopping abruptly. Reduce work hours over time rather than going from full-time to zero overnight. Second, replace your career work with meaningful, productive activity. This could be part-time consulting, volunteering, teaching, mentoring, starting a small business, or working in a completely different field you've always been curious about. The key is that it must have deadlines, expectations, and contribution to others, not just hobbies for your own entertainment. Third, maintain a weekly structure with specific commitments. Your calendar should have appointments, responsibilities, and things people are counting on you for. So, what happens if you ignore what you've just learned? Let me paint you an honest picture of the future that's waiting if you continue down this path. 5 years from now, you're sitting alone in your living room. Your savings account has dwindled because you kept saying yes when you should have said no. The calls from family have become rare, not because they don't love you, but because every interaction leaves them exhausted. You've become that person everyone avoids, the one who complains constantly, criticizes everything, and refuses to adapt to a changing world. Your children have stopped asking you to family gatherings because last time you criticized their parenting, complained about the food, and spent the whole evening talking about how much better things were 30 years ago. Your grandchildren barely know you. They're growing up, creating memories, building their lives, and you're not part of it. Not because you weren't invited, but because you made yourself too difficult to be around. You'll watch through the window as neighbours your age walk by with friends, laughing about something from their book club or planning their next trip. Meanwhile, you're stuck in your routine, trapped by your own resistance to change, convinced it's too late to learn anything new or try anything different. Your days blend together into a grey fog of sameness. No challenges, no growth, no purpose. You'll spend hours wondering where everyone went, why life feels so empty, why you feel invisible. The cruel irony is that every single bit of this suffering was preventable. These aren't the consequences of bad luck or circumstances beyond your control. These are the direct results of choices you're making right now, today. 10 years from now, you'll look back at this exact moment and feel one of two things. Either profound gratitude that you took action when you still had time, or crushing regret, asking yourself, why didn't I change when I had the chance? The difference between these two futures is determined by what you do in the next 24 hours. You cannot get this time back. You cannot reverse the damage once it's done. Your relationships, your health, your happiness, they're all on the line right now. The question isn't whether you can afford to make changes. You now hold the blueprint to transform your future. You've learned how sacrificing your financial security for family demands leads nowhere good. You understand that staying disconnected from technology means surrendering your independence. You've seen how clinging to the past while rejecting fresh experiences suffocates your joy. You recognize that negativity acts like poison, destroying every relationship you cherish. And most powerfully, you've discovered that eliminating all purpose from your life accelerates decline faster than any disease. But here's what matters most. You are not stuck. Every single one of these patterns can change starting this moment. You have decades of wisdom, resilience, and strength that younger generations can only dream of possessing. You've survived challenges they can't imagine. You've adapted before, and you can adapt again. This isn't about becoming someone you're not. It's about becoming the best version of who you already are. Set one boundary today. Learn one new skill this week. Try one new experience this month. Replace one complaint with gratitude. Find one way to contribute that reignites your purpose. Your story isn't over. It's entering a chapter that could be your most fulfilling yet. The power is in your hands. Choose growth. Choose connection. Choose life. You've got this. If this video opened your eyes to even one mistake you've been making, smash that like button right now. It helps us reach more people who desperately need this message. Now, here's my question for you. Which of these 5 mistakes hit closest to home? Are you giving away too much money? Avoiding technology? Living in the past? Drop a comment and let's talk about it. Your experience could be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. And please, share this video with someone over 60 who needs to see it. You might literally change the trajectory of their life. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell.